There he is, a handsome face, Ryan Lavner. I am Rex Hoggard. This is Writer's Block. I am in Fort Worth. Ryan, you're back home in sunny Ponte Vedra Beach. Hopefully you made it home from the PGA Championship. I made the short drive down from Tulsa to Fort Worth for this week's PGA Tour event, where Justin Thomas is in the field. So I guess we'll start with that first question. What's next for JT after his second major victory?
First, Rex, I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised that Justin Thomas did not withdraw from this week's Charles Schwab Challenge. You typically see this, don't you? I mean, a guy wins a major championship. Yeah, he needs to take a week off. The following week is the Memorial Tournament, one of the biggest tournaments on the regular season schedule on the PGA Tour. Clearly, JT should be applauded for fulfilling the commitment that he had to play at Colonial. As for what to expect, I have no idea. I've never won a major championship, but I have to imagine that it is taxing mentally, physically, spiritually, metaphysically, everything that you can possibly imagine. And so even though he said that he has been taking it easy these past couple of days, I think it's just human nature, isn't it? To kind of take the foot off the pedal a little bit, ease into the week. I'm not expecting all that much from JT, and I think that's perfectly okay.
That's it. Way to come with a strong take. As a matter of fact, let me tell you this. As far as what's next, I have no idea. Way to bring it in hot there. I have takes.
I want to be honest. I want to be honest with my viewers. I have no idea what to expect. And neither do you, to be honest.
I do not. But I can tell you this, that when I spoke with him today here at Fort Worth, it was an interesting take. After the interview, I said, did you write down your goals at the beginning of the year? Did you thumb them into your phone like you always do? And he got really short and he goes, yes, I absolutely did. And I go, I'm guessing you checked one off last week. And he didn't even acknowledge it. He just kept walking away, which leads me to believe that this is the same guy.
Things are frosty between you and JT.
No, it's been great. Actually, I sat and walked with him a little bit as he was walking his dog around the neighborhood. And I find JD to be just engaging and one of the most enjoyable people in the game to interview, certainly after a victory of this magnitude. However, this is the same guy who last year, when we asked him at the end of the season, give yourself a grade, and he gave himself a D. Never mind that he won the Players' Championship last year. He was that angry with himself that he hadn't been more consistent. And I think what we're seeing right now is he's very happy. Obviously, getting that second major is huge because that seems to be the tipping point for a lot of players as far as being good and being great. I don't think we were ever going to have the conversation about him not being great. In this particular case, though, I think it just opens the door even more. I'm not saying he's the favorite at Brookline in a few weeks or he's going to be the favorite at St. Andrews, but he's certainly going to be hard to ignore simply because of the tools he brings to the game and the idea that, now all of a sudden it seemed to click, that he realizes on a Sunday afternoon at a major championship, he doesn't have to have his A game. He can win with something less than that.
Yeah, I certainly think the lid is off when it relates to Justin Thomas. He said he's played some of the best golf of his career over these past 4 months and essentially had nothing to show for it. Sure, he had 8 top 10s and 13 starts this season, but still no victories. And that's kind of what he defines himself as. I know you were traveling yesterday. I know you were at a barbecue joint, but I did have a piece on golfchannel.com basically exploring Justin Thomas's pedigree for winning and the fact that he just puts so much pressure on himself. He seems to be balancing the insatiable hunger while not being intolerant. And that's where I think Mike Thomas, the swing coach and father, comes in. That's where Jim Bones Mackay, his caddy, as he did Saturday night at Southern Hills, can come and step in. I think JT, as you mentioned, realizes he doesn't have to be perfect. Just take a little bit easier on himself. And I really think this could be the start of a very important and very prolific stretch for him.
2 nights in a row since I've been in Fort Worth barbecue, by the way. I'm living it up. It is good barbecue, too. All right, we're going to transition to someone who's actually not in the field this week, and he also didn't play last week. We were sitting around waiting for Bryson DeChambeau, but it looks like he needs one more week. I had a chance to talk with his manager, and it feels like he was making good progress, and the plan all along was to make the Memorial his first event back since having hand surgery. So what's your level of concern, if any, for Bryson at this point?
Well, look, this isn't a huge surprise to me that he pulled out of Colonial this week. I had an opportunity to talk to Bryson last Wednesday, when he withdrew on the eve of the PGA Championship. I was a little bit surprised when he told me, hey, yeah, I'm going to try to give it a try next week, see if I can ramp up my endurance, my stamina, see if my injured hand, my surgically repaired hand can last just a little bit longer in practice. He said, not anticipating I'm going to play, but it doesn't hurt to try. It's a hometown event. And you're right. He targeted realistically the Memorial Tournament all along. That would have given about 7 or 8 weeks to recover from that hand surgery, to repair that fractured hamate bone in his left hand. And look, he needs to get going. I mean, he's 219th in the FedEx Cup standings. Obviously, he needs to be in the top 125 by August 7th. looking at my calendar right now, that's basically 2 months. He has 2 months to play some really good golf in order to make the playoffs or, all of his season-long goals. Forget winning a major championship. That was kind of doomed as soon as he had this injury. U.S. Open is going to be too quick with the thick rough. He's never played particularly well at the Open Championship. But if you don't play in the playoffs, he's certainly not going to be picked for the U.S. President's Cup team. All of a sudden, it becomes a lost year. So I hope that when he comes back, he is ready to play the competitive level golf that he certainly anticipates playing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not surprised that, look, this was a serious surgery, and no one wanted to see him rush his way back to competition. And I felt like that's what he was trying to do last week at the PGA Championship, just because it was a major. So I think everyone took a collective sigh that, he's going to give this a little bit of time. You're right. Hometown event this week. Just go ahead and put your name in. If you're good to go, play. If not, you just give yourself one more week. I guess my concern would be next week, that when he does show up at Muirfield Village, which is going to have thick rough, it's going to be the closest thing that we play to an U.S. Open venue this year. It can be very, very punishing, specifically on the hand, specifically on that hand that he had surgery on. So my level of concern would be that, okay, this is the event you earmarked. This is where you're coming back, but it's probably not the best place to come back for someone who needed to ease their way back into competition. Now, maybe that doesn't exist. Maybe at this time in the season.
Where are you going to go? The John Deere Classic?
Yeah.
Is that
yes.
where you're going to tune up?
I mean, John Deere Classic, of course, he wants to try to get ready for Brookline would be the idea for that. So I don't know if there's really a good option. Maybe you go to the Canadian Open, which would be the week before. But yeah, that one's kind of hard to say right there. I don't know that I have a level of concern right now, but certainly he didn't give himself a very good run.
And look, when I talked to Bryson last week, I asked him, I said, is there a chance for re-injury if you do play a tournament and things go poorly? He said the actual injury, he cannot suffer any worse. Like, they literally shave down the bone. Like, that cannot ever pop up for the rest of his career. What he did say could potentially transpire is straining some of the tendons that support that bone. That would be the greatest chance of re-injury. That's something, with a strained muscle could take a couple of weeks extra to heal. You just hope that if he's going to find the rough at Muirfield Village, and obviously we know that Bryson DeChambeau is going to find the rough, that he can take, those 125-mile-an-hour swings and not wince afterward. That's kind of the goal for his re-entry.
Have you shaved since you left?
No, actually I haven't. How do you think it looks? How do you think it looks?
Ratty, nasty. But I appreciate you getting
ratty
up for Writer's Block. Yeah,
ratty, nasty.
That's right.
Wearing a T-shirt. I had my Georgia hat, Rex. I know you've been following along with the NCAA Women's Championship. Georgia women, for the first time in school history on the women's side, made match play. Of course, they lost the quarterfinals, but they gave top-ranked Stanford all they could handle. I know, actually, Rex, that's a great reminder. Who do you like in the championship match today?
A team? I don't know who's
or
in the
Oregon. This is
match.
1 versus 2. This is everything you could ever dream of.
Stanford. Didn't Stanford have the individual champion, if I'm not mistaken?
They did. Rose Zhang, world number 1.
Yeah, so I'm going for Stanford. Yeah, that's right. The Cardinal. That's right.
I'm going with Stanford as well. This is a generational team. We talked at the beginning of the year that this could be one of the greatest teams to ever play women's college golf. They fulfilled all those expectations. Just 18 holes left.
Jason, do me a favor. If he ever just launches into another college golf, I don't know, diatribe like that, please just mute him, make him go away, disconnect him, get him out of here. We have no interest in that whatsoever.
It's a huge priority for the company. I'm glad you're taking it seriously.
Yes, I'm glad you ruined Writer's Block by bringing it into. I don't even know why we're asking this next question, but is Jordan Spieth your favorite this week at Colonial? Of course he is your favorite this week at Colonial.
Of course he's my favorite this week at Colonial.
That's on me, Jason. I'm sorry. I knew the answer.
I think that's a combination of current form, course history. Obviously won in 2016, but also had runner-up finishes in 2015, 2017. Of course, last year to Jason Kokrak. I'm not sure if this was your question in the press conference, but I got a kick out of it. Jordan Spieth said that he was pulling into the Champions parking lot today, and he looked at his placard, and he was very pleased to certainly be a past champion at Colonial. And then he looked around and said, you know what? I've had a lot of really good opportunities that I could have potentially won this tournament a bunch more times. I mean, Rex, it's 8 top 15s in 10 career appearances. Of course, Jordan Spieth is the favorite this week at the Charles Schwab Challenge.
I don't disagree with you. The way he played here last year, the way he's been playing the last few weeks, I mean, the stars just seem to be aligned, and he loves this golf course. I mean, Jordan Spieth, when he's in full flight, seems to have been It seems to have not everybody apparently, because if so, this would be the best field of the year, and it is not. Although I think it's one of the best fields they've ever had here at Colonial. I think the number I got this morning was 6 out of the top 10 in the world are in the field.
It's a 4-hour drive from Tulsa. It makes a lot of sense. It is certainly in a tough spot on the schedule. I guess you could play 3 in a row, take a week off, and then head to the U.S. Open. But they're getting pinched a little bit by the tour schedule.
They are. I think you brought up earlier about the idea that Justin Thomas would skip this week. I think he mentioned in his press conference that the plan wasn't to play next week. So he won't be at the Memorial, which makes sense. If you're going to skip one, you might as well just play the other. All right, we're going to get you out of here. Makes sense to me. Yeah. I mean, maybe the idea,
he lost in a playoff there 2 years ago.
I'm not saying it's a bad course. I just think he's probably looking ahead to the U.S. Open, trying to find out the best schedule to get ready. I'm thinking a lot of players are probably doing that.
Fair enough. Well, what'd you make of Spieth's finish outside the top 30 last week at the PGA? Does that not give you any pause for concern after going runner-up in his previous 2 starts?
Absolutely not, because you and I both spent enough time walking around that golf course last week, seeing the conditions, the wind switching out of the south into the north coming to the weekend, just brutal conditions. It didn't take much at all to get sideways on that golf course. No, I'm not dismissive of it, but you hit 1 or 2 bad shots and you're going to end up losing strokes really quickly.
Yeah, and look, Jordan actually said that was one of the best putting weeks he's had, even if the stats didn't necessarily bear that out. So I think that is important for something to watch this week as well.
Speaking of 2 guys that kind of got sideways there at the very end. Well, man, I wouldn't say that about Will Zalatoris.
Sideways?
I think Mito Periera got sideways. I don't think there's any question about that on the 72nd hole. But considering how they finished up on Sunday at Southern Hills, do you think Will and Mito Periera bounce back this week?
It wouldn't surprise me if one of them does, and that would be Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris played terrific at Southern Hills. And look, I don't think he lost that playoff against Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas went out and won it. He played virtually flawlessly in that 3-hole aggregate to capture his second major championship. And as maligned as Will Zalatoris' putting has been, particularly in crunch time, you think back to the 4-foot miss that he had on the 70th hole. I look more at what he did on the 71st and the 72nd
8-footer just to get into the playoff.
Making 8-footers on 17 and 18 just to get into the playoff. I think this is a player who's now ranked first on tour in strokes gained tee to green with a putter that he can finally feel confident in, even if maybe it's still one of those strokes that you got to cover your eyes when trying to watch. Will Zalatoris, he's going to get his soon. It would not surprise me at all to see him break through. But how about Mito? I read something Great Rex had said that he got electrocuted. It looked like he got electrocuted on his tee shot on the 72nd hole. That was a great way to put it, and I think that's a shot and a tournament result, unfortunately, that I think could sting for a bit.
I think so. You wonder, I mean, this was the first time he was playing the weekend in the major championship. This was just his second major start. So I don't know the lasting effects for someone who probably was a little surprised he was there anyway. I mean, I felt like you were playing with house money.
But he was this close. He was literally, if he gets his putt to the hole on 17, he wins the PGA Championship. It's that simple.
Sure.
It's that simple.
Sure. And of course, the execution on the 18th hole, and we can sit here and talk about should he hit driver, should he not have hit driver. I think he hit driver on that hole all 4 rounds last week. So I don't know why you would suddenly change the idea that, okay, that's what got me into this position. I don't know. He just didn't
you can't have 5 wood in that green either. That's not the play. Now the play is
going to be a
left.
Difficult hole.
Hit it left.
Yes. You have to know
right.
Hit it left. Yeah. Yes. I'm with you. I think Will Zalatoris would be the guy who bounces back this week. I had a chance to talk to him just now for an interview that's going to be on tonight's Golf Central, and he talked about the confidence. Yes, it was a very good interview. He talked about the confidence he got from last week. He said Thursday and Friday of last week is the best he's putted all year long. And that's coming off of him missing the cut in his hometown event in Dallas the week before. And he putted awful. And so he figured something out. And what I found fascinating is he actually spent time watching those Thursday, Friday rounds the last few days compared to the way he putted specifically on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday. And he goes, it was painful because I was watching something and I knew I'd miss that putt and it just would make me angry. But he wanted to see the difference, whether it was body language or the way he addressed the ball or the stroke that you were just talking about. So I think he's learning. And I think of those 2 players, Mito and Will, I think Will is better prepared. He has the tools to be able to take the sting of losing in that playoff. And you're right, he lost. It was a situation of where Justin Thomas went out and won that event. But he can take the balance of that sting versus all the positive things that got him in that situation.
Yeah, Will Zalatoris is very good at golf. He's going to win many, many golf tournaments in his career, but he also has to win the first one. I don't see any reason why it can't be this week at Colonial. Rex, where you been eating this week? Very curious.
Last 2 nights, it's been barbecue. We're staying in downtown, so there's some barbecue places very close by. I actually sent you a picture of the barbecue on Monday when I rolled into town. So I got
delicious.
That's right. Got right back on the horse. You know what? It's funny. Brisket. Nothing else but brisket so far this week. So I'm going to have to mix it up tonight.
Yeah, sausage, beef ribs. Beef ribs is to me a delicacy. It's so thick, it's so rich. But that's one of the best bites of barbecue that you could possibly have. Please send me one of those snappy chats of your beef ribs.
Jason, enough barbecue talk. Stop talking, you two. Are you going to shave for Sunday night's writer's block? Any chance you shave for now?
I will shave. I will be reporting live from Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's a tease. Heading
to the NCAA Championship. I'll be the central reporter. Don't have to do the interviews, though. They've probably figured that someone else could do them much better than I will. So I will have to shave. I'm not going to shave completely, but it will be trimmed down. It's going to be like a graduated rough situation.
Check us out Sunday night. Lav will be clean shaven. How about that for a tease?
Stay tuned.